Yes, good morning to you on this Bank Holiday Monday. This is Kay Adams with you till 12 on BBC Radio Scotland. Today is the first anniversary of King Charles' coronation. And as it happens, yesterday was Republic Day. Lorna Slater, the Scottish Greens, posted this on her social media.
With the climate crisis upon us and families going hungry, Charles sits around with jewels on his head and travels in a private jet.
Morning.
12 months ago, I was on chemotherapy, and to be on the start line today is just a testament, I think, to the NHS and how well my friends and family have looked after me.
Well, that was broadcaster Adele Roberts speaking a year ago at the end of the London Marathon. I think she's going to be here in just a few minutes to tell us how a diagnosis of bowel cancer did not stop her achieving her personal best.
Money, money, money. For the love of money.
Gotta make that money, man. Money, baby, still the same now. Gotta make that money, man. Money, baby, still the same now. Gotta make that money,
these days, money a mickle max a muckle, as they say. And we've got our savings surgery to help you make the most of your money. So whatever you're thinking about, pensions, property, or putting it in the bank, get your questions in. You can call or text 80295. The lines are open now, 08085 92 95 00. And they are everyday words for Scots.
Peely Wally, Scran, Hogmanay, Pure Barry, Rank.
Rank. But is our vocabulary under threat from the south? They don't say monies and mickle max and muckle very often, I tell you. They don't say monies and mickle max and muckle very often, I tell you. It might rip your knitting, I know, but... Getting angry is bad for your health.
Wow, what do we have here?
Mornings on BBC Radio Scotland.
Now, what a fabulous story, isn't it? They mentioned it there on the news about Daniel Rooney from Cambuslang. There he was, playing in a hotel bar, a regular Friday night gig, when suddenly up pops Ross King, entertainment journalist, and said, Daniel, we've got a problem. Ollie Murs is stuck down in London. He can't get here. Take that. Need some... Don't know why I've gone in that ridiculous accent. Take that. I've got 15,000 fans waiting for a warm-up. Will you do it? And he did. Oh my God, can you imagine? I mean, my goodness, how often do these things happen in life? Just an absolute chance. Is it fate? I don't know. Do you believe in fate? We'll maybe talk about that later in the programme. But I'm not saying of that kind of magnitude. It's going to be difficult to replicate. But have you had that event in your life, that something, that decision, that event, that somebody walking in, that somebody walking out, that phone call that has just completely changed the path of your life? Has that happened to you? 80295. And Daniel Rooney was actually speaking this morning on Good Morning Scotland. So if you would like to hear that interview, you can hear it back on BBC Sounds. Bank Holiday Monday, you've got to have a bit of wham.
When will we be paid for the work we've done? When will we be paid for the work we've done?
We have worked this country from shore to shore. Our women cooked all your food and washed all your clothes. We picked all your cotton and laid the railroad steel. Worked our hands to the bone at your lumber mill. I say,
when will we be paid for the work we've done? When will we be paid for the work we've done?
We fought in your wars in every land to keep this country free, y'all, for women, children, and man. But anytime we ask for pay or loan, that's when everything seems to turn out wrong. We've been beat up, called names, shot down and stoned. And every time we do right and all our tears. We stumble through this life for more than 300 years. We've been separated from the language we knew, stripped of our culture. People, you know it's true. Tell me now,
When will we be paid for the work we've done? When will we be paid for the work we've done? When
will we ever be proud of my country, tears of thee? Will we ever sing out loud, sweet land of liberty? When will we be paid for the work we've done?
When will we be paid
Tell me now,
we've done?
for the work we've done.
When will we be paid?
Will we ever have peace and harmony? I want to know, will we ever be paid?
Oh, that's perked you up this Monday morning. I've no idea what the weather is like out there. We've got a big blackout blind here. I don't know if that's to disguise horrific weather, is it? I'm just going to imagine that it's sunshine outside. That's the best way to do it. It is 11 minutes past 10. This is Kay Adams with you till 12. Now, when DJ and TV personality Adele Roberts finished the London Marathon in 3 hours 30 minutes... 3 hours 30 minutes. Woof. It was a triumph on so many levels. Apart from being an extremely impressive time, it was, I think, just 18 months after a diagnosis of bowel cancer. She'll put me right on that. And done with the company of Audrey, her stoma bag, that's what she calls it. And a year on, Adele is telling her story in her new book, Personal Best from Rock Bottom to the Top of the World. And she joins me now. Hi, Adele.
Morning, Kay.
How are you?
Really good, thank you. Loving the tunes. Thanks very much.
Yes, it's a good bank holiday number, that one. And goodness, if you're saying it's good, then, you know, I feel good about that. I feel good. Now, funny enough, I was making the tea last night, looked up at the television, and there are you wrestling with a quiche.
Oh, yeah. People, I was just like sitting watching Real Housewives. I don't know if you ever watched that show.
I hear enough about it, but no, I don't hear yet.
And people kept being like, you're baking. I was like, what are you on about? And I didn't realise they played my episode of Celebrity Bake Off, which I did for Stand Up to Cancer.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you were a quiche. We had a nice chocolate kind of biscuity thing, and I can't remember what the other one was, but yeah, you do very well with that. You were. Do you know? I don't know. I don't know whether you were up when I was just talking about Daniel Rooney, this guy from Cambuslang who found himself, in front of 15,000 fans at the Hydro for Take That, and just saying to people those moments that just change your life. And I know it's a completely different tone, Adele, so go with me on this. Good things can change your life, but bad things can change your life too. And when I was saying that, I looked up at you and I thought, my goodness, from the completely other direction, your diagnosis must have been that thing that changed the path of your life.
Yeah, absolutely, Kay. I think I say now, I feel like it split me in two, changed my life forever, transformed me forever, my body forever. But I think that was the moment that I decided to fight for my life and try and get my life back. When I was first diagnosed, there was about a week before I knew how serious the cancer was. So I wasn't sure if I was going to make it. But in that week, I just thought, right, if you get a second chance at life, if they say they can help you, then you've just got to live your life to the full every single day. And that's what I've tried to do ever since.
So is that what it felt like, a second chance?
Absolutely, yeah. When you hear the words, you've got cancer, it feels like... My first question was, am I going to die? Because I didn't know enough about cancer, especially bowel cancer. And I just thought I was a dead woman walking, basically. And so the fact that they thought they could help me, I was just gratitude straight away, Kay. And I just thought, right, you've got to take this chance now. It could have all been over, but you've got this second chance, go for it.
What age were you, Adele, when you got that diagnosis? You were very young.
Yeah, 42. And they actually said to me as well, they didn't think it would be bowel cancer. So that's another reason it was a shock, because the misconception is that people over 50 mainly get bowel cancer, which they do, but it sometimes makes people feel like if you're under 50, it can't be that. So what I want to say is, if you do have any issues at the moment and you're worried and you are under 50, please just speak to your GP and let them know what's happening so that they can help you.
So did you kind of form a plan at that point that you thought, okay, I'm going to take advantage of everything give me and have the second shot, or do you just go with it? Are you just kind of having to ride the wave of treatment, basically?
Yeah, I try to take it day by day, and I still do that. I live every day like a mini lifetime. And I think, as we mentioned in the book, I've been through a lot in my life, and unfortunately, this isn't my first rodeo. I've been in very dark places, and I think I used that mindset to get me through the cancer. And one big thing was the marathon mindset. So luckily, I'd done a marathon, and a lot of the things I'd learned through training for a marathon helped me deal with cancer, and especially chemotherapy, because I think chemotherapy was actually the hardest part of it all.
So what kind of things, and what is that marathon mindset?
Yeah, so really good question. I think start small, dream big. So when you first start out on a marathon, you don't know if you can do it. I started training for my first marathon from the couch. So I started walking, and then I'd start jogging, and then I eventually turned into running, and then that led to a full marathon. I also think train hard, race easy. So that's to kind of say you've been through so much in your life. I believe that wherever you're at in your life, no matter what's thrown at you, you already have the tools inside you to get through it. So you've already trained hard. Like, life is hard. We all know this, that things that happen to all of us. And I think it's almost like you've got to look within yourself, draw on those experiences, and then whatever you're facing, you can get through it easier. And as I say, there's lots of things I've been through, and I talk about them. And I try to just go, right, break it down step by step, get to the end of each day, go again.
I mean, you're obviously a very determined character, but I mean, you were never meant to be a DJ, were you?
No, not at all. Not at all. My dad's a builder, and my mum had various jobs, but she mainly had the job of bringing up 6 kids, 6 rowdy kids. And I've lived on council estates most of my life. So most of the people around me weren't DJs. And I remember when I first started saying to my mum and dad I wanted to be a DJ, they were like, what? Huh? Women can't be DJs? Because in those days, there weren't many female DJs. And so I'm glad to be part of the change. And it's amazing that I'm speaking to a wonderful woman like you on breakfast radio as a DJ. So yes for us, Kay.
Well, I've never thought of myself as a DJ, but I like it. I do like it. So, what got you to there? And I know there'll be a million steps in there, but were there any sort of, again, going on the Daniel Rooney theme, were there any sort of flashpoint moments?
Yeah, there was lots of no's, lots of rejection. I talk about that a lot in my book. So again, I say when I got cancer, it wasn't a setback, it was the start of my comeback. And it took me years to get into radio, and I built my way up. I did student radio, local radio, regional radio. There was 10 years I tried to get on 1Xtra, and they kept saying no to me, and I kept going back. And then you were reminding me with the story about the time that I actually presented the Radio 1 breakfast show by accident, because Greg James went to the Brits.
But there you go.
Yeah, he didn't wake up and he went missing. And so I had to do the Radio 1 breakfast show. And honestly, I was like, yeah, it's scary, but you just have to do it. You just have to go with it.
Come on, you switched his alarm off, didn't you?
No, I really, honestly, Kay, I was thinking, who can we call? Call Scott Mills. I don't want to do it, but I did it in the end, and it went well. It was good.
Oh gosh. So going back to, if you don't mind, and I'm going to remind everyone of the book, because it's a really important read. Personal best from rock bottom to the top of the world, and it's not all about your cancer journey, is it, Adele?
No, I think hopefully when people read it, I use cancer to hopefully show people that this is a manual for getting through tough times in life. I hope this book speaks to everyone. And that's what we tried to do, because we are multifaceted people. And even though people do go through cancer, it's one aspect of their life. So I hope that I can show you that I've messed up my life so you don't have to. There's lots of examples. But the good news is I'm still moving forward. I'm still going.
Yeah, that's a good marketing ploy, isn't it? I messed up my life so you don't have to. Can we talk a little bit about Audrey?
Yes.
Will you tell us what Audrey is?
Yeah, so Audrey is the name I've given to my stoma, and a stoma is the way that I go to the toilet at the moment. So through my bowel cancer surgery, they had to cut quite a big tumour out of my large colon. So at the moment, I go to the toilet through the front. I've kind of got a front bum, and it's my small intestine that's been brought through my stomach, and a little piece of my intestine now lives on the outside of my body. And there's a bag that goes over that, and that's my stoma. When I first got it, to help me get my head around it, the nurses said, why don't you try and give it a name? So I decided on the name Audrey. They thought it was after Audrey Hepburn, but it was actually after, there's a musical called Little Shop of Horrors, and there's a big naughty plant, a Venus flytrap that's got a mouth like that, and that's what I named it after.
Oh, that is Audrey. I mean, I think there are a few people now in the public eye who are being much more open about having a stoma. And you're definitely in the vanguard of that, Adele. And I think a lot of other people have found it enormously helpful, because it's been one of the elements of that particular diagnosis that perhaps makes people very wary of going to the doctor. They just don't want to go down that road, and therefore sometimes, and one can understand it, it's easier for people to think, I'll be all right, I'll be all right. But how difficult was it for you to be open about it? Because it's just deeply personal, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. And I think, again, with the cancer diagnosis, I'm quite a private person usually. That's why a lot of people didn't know about my life. But this was an opportunity to help others as I had been helped. So when I was first diagnosed, there were lots of people sharing real life stories on Instagram and on forums. And I just found that really brave, because as amazing as the NHS are, they're doctors. So they've maybe not been through it. When you hear someone speak from the heart, it really connects. And it made me so sad that so many people, like you say, were too shy to go through shame. People were basically dying from embarrassment. And I thought, well, while I've got a platform and while I've got something to say, I can hopefully help those people. And it broke my heart that people with stomas were made to feel shame for something that I think is marvelous, magical, and is in a lot of cases saving their lives and improving their lives. And so I thought, well, I'm going to proudly show mine to show that there's nothing to be ashamed of.
And did that help you in the process?
Absolutely. You're so right. Yeah. I think, I've been through a lot in terms of being a mixed race kid growing up in the 80s, not seeing people who look like me on TV, not hearing people that sounded like me on the radio. And so I think I've, in a way, made it my mini mission to just be as representative as possible and just try and show up for other people and help the younger version of me.
And who was your team, Adele, then? Who were those close to you that helped you through?
I'm so glad you said that, because I think that is something I'm so lucky to have, an amazing, wonderful family and partner in Kate, my girlfriend who co-authored the book. She's my absolute rock. And I think cancer is a team sport. If you've got that amazing network, and it could be chosen friends and family, it could be your real friends and family, but if you've got those people around you, I believe that you can get through anything.
You've been together with Kate, is it 20 years?
Yeah, poor Kate. Yeah.
Wow. But I mean, gosh, you've been through a lot together, from sort of getting together as, well, kids. Everyone's a kid from my perspective, but I mean, as a young relationship to mature and go through many challenges, but that particular one puts a lot of pressure on a relationship, any relationship.
Yeah, and Kate's seen parts of me that she shouldn't have seen, Kate. The parts of me that I never thought I'd see. But to her credit, she saved me. I think before in our relationship, I was always like the go-getter. And what we've been through, Kate's the strong one. I realise that now. And I think she was the strong one all along. And she was the one that was helping me help myself. And I think when you read the book, you'll realise that she was there pulling the strings all along, and I'm so grateful for what she's done for me.
Well, together you sound like quite a force, that's for sure. Well, listen, it's lovely to speak to you this morning, Adele. And Personal Best, From Rock Bottom to the Top of the World, is now out in hardback. Thank you. Enjoy your bank holiday. Bye.
Where the party at?
Is the Chris Moyle Show
So come on down for a tasty snack and around the sound. Joking, smoking, things get broken. Laugh so fast, so don't start choking. This is no ordinary show. You got to move with the groove and go with the flow.
Is the Chris Moyle Show
Never done doing it.
Ray 80X.
It is 10:25. What a joy, Adele Roberts, isn't she? She really is a force of nature. And interesting, that theme, isn't it, of events in your life. Sometimes events that, at first glance are the worst thing to happen, but they change the direction of your life. And in some instances, in Adele's instances, well, maybe not for the better, but certainly in a positive kind of fashion in some ways. If you have had that experience of, that's quite a difficult thing to think of, isn't it? But just, an event, an action, a phone call, a something that just changed everything. Do get in touch and let us know. 80295. Still to come this morning.
For the love of money.
Gotta make that money, man. Money, baby, still the same now. Gotta make that money, man. That money, baby, still the same now.
You gotta look after your money, and we have our saving surgery every Monday to help you do just that. So whatever decisions that you are facing, whether it's about pensions, about property, about putting it in the bank or doing something else with it, just get your questions in. Pick up the phone. Jasmine Birtles is with us today. 08085 92 95 00 is the number. You can text us on 80295. Also this morning,
Peely Wall, Scran, Hogmanay, Pure Barry, Rank.
yeah, it's just a nice end, that, isn't it? Everyday vocabulary for Scots, but are those words in danger of dying out? We'll hear what's been done to preserve them before 11. Here's Ace of Base.
I got a new life. You would hardly recognize me. I'm so glad. How can a person like me check on you? Why do I bother when you're not the one for me? Is enough enough? I saw the sign, and it opened up my eyes. I saw the sign. Life is demanding without understanding. I saw the sign, and it opened up my eyes. I saw the sign. No one's gonna drag you up to get into the light where you belong. But where do you belong? Under the pale moon, for so many years I wondered who you are. How could a person like you bring me joy? Under the pale moon, where I see a lot of stars. It's enough enough. I saw the sign, and it opened up my eyes. I saw the sign. Life is demanding without understanding. I saw the sign, and it opened up my eyes. I saw the sign. No one's gonna drag you up to get into the light where you belong. But where do you belong? Oh, oh, oh. I saw the sign, and it opened up my mind, and I am happy not living without you. I've left you, oh, oh, oh. I saw the sign, and it opened up my eyes. I saw the sign. No one's gonna drag you up to get into the light where you belong. I saw the sign. I saw the sign. I saw the sign. I saw the sign. I saw the sign.
Got something to say? Text 80295.
Get up, clap your hands and feel the groove.
Your telephone on BBC Radio Scotland.
And it is just coming up to 10:30. Oh, and lovely David has just brought me a coffee. Thank you very much, David. Bank holiday Monday. I'm getting spoiled here. I hope you're getting spoiled as well. Stay with us on BBC Radio Scotland. Hang on, wait a minute. I have to taste it because you know what? You have one coffee a day and it's got to be a good one. And if it's not a good one, the crushing disappointment. This is pressure now because, of course, BBC Canteen. It's lovely. Oh, it's a lovely, lovely, lovely bank holiday coffee. Thank you very much indeed. Right, we are going to talk money now. We have our savings surgery on a Monday. Everyone, of course, pretty anxious about their finances these days. And Jasmine Birtles, personal finance expert, is with us. Good morning, Jasmine.
Good morning, Kay. I've got a cup of tea.
Oh, is it a nice one?
It's an Earl Grey, and I do like an Earl Grey, I have to say.
Well, it's funny. I used to love Earl Grey, and I went off. I don't know, my taste buds used to change, but I could go back to an Earl Grey. But what I cannot do is a lapsang souchong.
Oh, yes, smelly socks tea. I'm actually a fan, but I know what you mean.
Too much for me, too much. I've got very pedestrian taste. I have indeed. So, savings surgery on Monday, what a good thing to think about. Well, actually, Bank Holiday Monday is quite a good time because you might have a little bit more space in your day to kind of think about it. So if you've got a question for Jasmine, 08085 92 95 00. The lines are open now, or you can text 80295. I think a lot of people will be talking about pensions at the moment, or thinking about pensions at Jasmine, because politically it's very much a hot potato. Some suggestion, even by Lord Frost, I don't know if anyone's picking it up, that the retirement age would be pushed back to 75.
Yes, this is possible, although Jeremy Hunt has said no. He said he can rule out raising the state pension age, but, who knows how long he's going to be around. The thing is that the state pension it's a big issue for a lot of Western countries, not just Britain, very much Portugal, Spain, Italy, America, Japan, because people are living longer, and the longer they live, the more money has to be shelled out by the state to pay for them. And really, the state pension in Britain is a kind of Ponzi scheme. And you remember Charles Ponzi back in the sort of early 1900s, and he had a pretend investment thing where he'd take people's money and then take somebody else's money and give them the money that was given by the first person. It wasn't an investment. He was just moving money around from one person to the next. And that's kind of the way the state pension works, because the money that we pay in national insurance, that those of us who are working, that goes directly to paying the pensions of the people who are currently pensioners, and so that means that we think that we're putting money into a pot for later, but we're not actually. There isn't a pot of money, and if the merry-go-round stops, then suddenly whoever's a pensioner won't be able to get the money, and the problem that a lot of countries have is that there are more people. Increasingly, more and more people who are retired, and fewer people who are actually working. So that's why they're sort of looking to possibly change the time.
I mean, I guess, for us as individuals, there's very little that we can do to influence that. But is there anything that we as individuals could or should be doing in the knowledge of that to try and kind of bolster our own position?
Well, what I always say to people when I do money management courses, and I always say, ignore the state pension. If you're working right now, just pretend that it doesn't exist, and do your calculations. Basically, put more money away for yourself, for your own future. Set up pensions. If you've got a job and they offer a pension, grab it. Absolutely, go for it, because if you're working, your employer will put some extra cash in, and also you get the extra tax that you would have paid on any of it from the government. So it makes sense to put as much money as you can of yours and your employer into your pension. If you're freelance like me, it's a really good idea to set up a self-invested personal pension, or just a personal pension. And again, put as much money as you can. You don't get the extra money from an employer that you would if you were working for someone else, but you do get the extra tax that you would have paid. You kind of get some free money added into it.
Is it always the best place, though? I mean, to put. I mean, I'm like you.
No.
I'm freelance, and I've done my bit all these years, and put my money into a pension. It's rubbish, to be honest.
Oh well, hey, listen, you need to talk to somebody about moving it if it is rubbish. But no, absolutely, you don't have to put it just in a pension or at all in a pension. I've got friends who have just put their money in property, and I think some stocks and shares, a little bit, some stocks and shares ISAs. And I said to them, if I were you, I would put some into a pension, just because you get their tax back, and it's a question of spreading things around. But yeah, with me, I've got some in a pension, I've got some in stocks and shares ISAs, I've got some gold, I've got bits and pieces all over the place, because I believe in spreading your money around. Yes.
It's a good little nugget of advice, isn't it? Spread it around.
Spread it around. Yeah, the posh way of saying it is diversifying your portfolio.
Oh, yes, I prefer that. That's good.
Diversification. Yes, absolutely, yes.
Listen, Jasmine, you're taking calls, as I say, from 11. A reminder of the number 08085 92 95 00, or you can text 80295. But just before I let you go for now, you said that you do money management courses. What are the things that worry people most, or they want to know about most?
One of the aspects I find is what I call smart spending. How can you get things for cheaper or for free? That's one big area. And another one is savings accounts. People are very keen on savings accounts and finding the best savings account. Mind you, when we talk about that, I do say to them, savings is for the short term. Do remember, savings accounts are for the short term, because on the whole, you get a lower rate back than you would with slightly more adventurous products like stocks and shares, etc. So when it comes to the future, anything that's longer than 5 years, you really shouldn't be having your money in savings accounts. It's a good idea to have some savings set aside for just in case, and for Christmas and for holidays and for a car or whatever. But then for the long term, for your future, for your retirement, you should have stocks and shares ISAs, you should have pensions, you should have maybe property if you've got the money, and those sort of things that are a bit riskier, but long term they're less risky and they give you a good return. So that's what I talk about a lot in my courses.
I've got 2 good bits of advice already. Savings accounts are short term, and spread it around.
Yes.
Diversify your portfolio for those of you who are more money-minded. Jasmine, listen, thank you.
Thanks.
Get in touch. The lines are open now. Speak to Jasmine how to make more of your money. There she goes. I will speak to her just after 11. 08085 92 95 00 is the number. You can text 80295. And lots of you getting in touch, responding to Adele Roberts that I was speaking to earlier on. Andrew saying, I lived with a stoma for 2 years. Lots of ups and downs, but a lifesaver. We need to be more open about this condition. If you have one, get on social media support sites. There's so much information that really helps. Both funny and sad stories, but most importantly, support from people in the same situation. I have had a full reversal and I'm back to normal, but I still contribute on social media. Well done, Adele, for being so open and an inspiration to all. And Louise saying, I found listening to Adele quite inspiring. I too had a cancer diagnosis age 44, and whilst I resonated with some of what Adele said, I felt it was a very lonely journey, and although I did have friends and family around me thinking they were supporting me, I felt completely on my own. It was one woman versus cancer, and if I could go back and change it, I wish I had let more people in and let more people know how I was feeling. I was too concerned about what people thought, and I didn't want anyone saying, oh, poor Louise, when I wanted people to thank God how strong Louise. Whilst I put that face on, I was struggling. Well, if you feel happy to share your experiences here prompted by Adele, then please do. Text us 80295.
baby. And I'd be doggone if I wouldn't bring you my pay, baby. But if I ever caught you running around, blowing my money all over this town, then I wouldn't be doggone. Hey, hey, I'd be long gone. Then I wouldn't be doggone. I'd be long gone. Hey, hey, hey. I'd be doggone if you ain't a pretty thing, baby. And I'd be doggone if you ain't warm as a breath of spring, baby. And if we live to be 100 years old, if you ever let that spring turn cold, then I wouldn't be doggone. Hey, 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 I'd be long gone. Oh, I wouldn't be doggone. Baby, I'd be long gone. Now did you hear me? Well, now what I say, oh, believe me. Well, every woman should try to be whatever her man wants for her to be. And I don't want much, all I want from you is for you to be true to me. I'll be doggone, love ain't a man's best friend, oh baby. And I'll be doggone if you ain't the loving end, baby. So I know you make me feel like nobody could. If I ever found out that you're no good, then I wouldn't be doggone. I'd be long gone. Well, I wouldn't be doggone. I'd be long gone. I wouldn't be doggone.
There with his new shoes. Now, it's official. Getting angry is bad for your health. That's according to a new study from Columbia University in New York. 280 young adults with no history of heart disease or stroke were asked to recall an unpleasant memory from their past, and it was found that their blood vessels were shown to restrict for up to 40 minutes. What does this tell us? Professor David Newby is a consultant cardiologist at the University of Edinburgh. Good morning, David.
Good morning.
Good morning. What can we deduce from this study?
We've got to keep happy, right?
Yeah.
So what they basically did was some fancy tests of blood vessels and showed that if you recall unpleasant experiences, anger in particular in this study, it really doesn't help your health of your blood vessels.
So what does it do? It doesn't help, but I mean, does it make you a greater risk of a heart attack or a stroke or any of these terrible things that people get very anxious about?
Well, that's what they tried to extrapolate from their study. What we do know is that heart attacks and strokes are caused by blood vessel disease. And if your blood vessels are not responsive and healthy, then you're...
Oh, there's nothing makes me more angry than a bad line. But then I have to just be calm, don't I? And sorry, David, I was just saying that the line went a bit dodgy. Is it there again? Can you speak, David? I think we might have to see if we can correct that line there, do something magic with it. Tyrion Boyd is with us, presenter, comedian, and Camelin Kaur, psychotherapist, so she's going to calm us all down. How are you, Camelin?
Morning, Kay. I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good. Should we just be breathing now, not getting angry at that?
Just take a step back, put things into perspective.
Absolutely.
It's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world. I mean, really, it's a minor thing, isn't it? We're all here. We're all fine. We're having an interesting discussion. We'll sort that line out in a second, and we'll just
You're all zenned out now.
crack on. You know, I've got my coffee. It's a nice one, and I like a nice one. Tyriam's sitting with me. How are you, Tyriam, this morning?
Raging, but
no,
you know,
stop
relaxing,
it!
chilling out to the best of of the abilities.
Well, he came in the studio, well, not raging, but we'd been talking about our savings surgery. It's coming up, and he's got his head in his phone going, ISIS, stock and shares, oh my goodness.
I was too overwhelmed with the information. However, it was a good start.
I mean, is raging something that you get to quite easy? Because some people are quicker to anger than others.
Nowadays, I would say I found like a nice kind of happy medium. So I've seen both sides of the extremes. When I was a kid, I was very quick to anger. I think part of the ADHD and emotional regulation, just a lot of outbursts, a lot of rage. My mum put up with quite a lot of tantrums and throwing and swearing over the baby gate and similar things. But then as I got older, I was like, oh, too much anger. So I just repressed, put it all down, and then it would come out in these huge bursts every like couple of months. So then we got like a Goldilocks system of if you're angry, be angry. Don't push it away, but don't get too angry. And when we're teaching kids, we say traffic lights. Red's too much. If you're in the yellow, you can get to the green, but it's okay. But you should try and be in the green as much as you can.
Okay. So when you were feeling rage at points in the past, did you feel a physical impact on your body?
Yeah, for me it was all shoulder-based, totally stored around the shoulders and neck, and it would come up as a tension. It would move a bit in later years, so at certain points I would get stomach cramps, or my right foot held the anger for a while, yeah. If somebody done something to trigger me, or somebody was, getting like in traffic or something, my right foot would go all tense and it would start to shake, and I thought, this is weird. So over the years I tried to kind of let it relax out, but I'd love some actual advice on how to process anger.
Well, we'll speak to Cameron in a second to get that, but I think we've managed to restore the line to Professor David Newby there. Are you back with us, David?
I hope so.
Oh,
you can hear me okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Just went at the critical moment. Tyrion was just saying that, as a younger person, he was kind of given to sort of rage, partly linked to emotional deregulation and ADHD, but, very kind of tantrumy as a child. What is happening in the body when we're in that state?
Yeah, so basically the blood vessels, they need to be nice and relaxed and responsive. But when they're out of sorts, as it were, and when you're getting angry, when things aren't going well, they're less responsive. And we know that strokes and heart diseases, they cause furring up of these arteries, damage to the arteries. And if your blood vessels aren't healthy, then that's much more likely. So you're storing up badness for later.
Right. And is it anger as opposed to other emotions? What about sadness? What about anxiety?
Yeah, these are all bad effects. I mean, there was another study actually which looked at these blood vessel responses when watching Saving Private Ryan, which of course is quite a traumatic movie to watch. And again, the blood vessels were not responding well. Whereas if you watch a comedy or a movie like that, a feel-good factor movie, the blood vessels were much happier and more responsive. So it's negative emotions that do seem to have a bad effect on blood vessels.
And can that cause cumulative damage then, if that is your, your tendency to react in that fashion over years?
Yeah, it's difficult to be absolutely sure, but clearly, the implication, the extrapolation is that if your blood vessels are responding in a bad way perpetually, then that will build up, and then may well be linked to future health problems. And we do know that people who have these chronic problems of anxiety, depression, anger, that there is an association there with future risks of heart attacks and strokes. And this potentially could be the mechanism.
Which, Cameron, I imagine might worry a lot of people listening.
Yeah, of course it will, because it's such a natural reaction as well to experience anger. So to realise that it can have such a detrimental effect on your health, it is quite concerning. But also it's very important to be aware of the effects of anger, because these are things that we're not really taught and we don't really know. So I think it's important conversations definitely to be having around anger.
But, as Tyrion was saying, if you find yourself in a situation that you find your emotions boiling in what way? I mean, you can't just switch that off. I mean, or can you? Or how do you respond in a healthy way?
I do believe we can learn to manage our emotions. The first thing is to identify your triggers. What is the trigger for that anger? And usually when it comes to anger, you can boil it down to a few certain things. So it's something that you've perceived as a physical, emotional, or psychological threat. It usually can be a violation of your rights or values. The third thing that will make you angry is a sense of injustice or unfairness. The fourth thing is feeling powerless in a situation or unable to control a situation. And the fifth thing that usually comes up in the therapy sessions is when somebody's grieving, because anger is a really important, it's a really prevalent stage of grieving. So if you can identify the source of your anger, like what is the trigger, where is it coming from, it narrows down then what area of your life you have to address, and then you can introduce relevant coping strategies for that area. So I don't believe for a second that nobody can manage their anger. I think with anything in life, as soon as we understand the trigger, the stressor, why it's happening, or whom it's caused by, we definitely can find resources to manage it.
Have you kind of gone down that path, Terry?
Well, no, but it sounds right. It sounds right that if something is triggering, it makes more sense to look inward than outward instead of trying to, get other people to change. It makes more sense to go, oh, well, what part of me has this affected? So the next time somebody comes out and wait, hold on, what can I do? What can I do here? Injustice.
So well, give us an example of something that just might make you flip.
For me, I think this might tie in with oppositional defiance disorder as well, but when people are abusing a position of authority, for the smallest thing, when people will like shift leaders when I was working in pubs, and I'll riff you, a bouncer, is flaunting their authority about it, makes me go crazy. And Kate, I'm 5'1". I'm never going to start physical altercations, but I will shout, and I will shout like, well, I used to. Now what I'm going to do is check inward and breathe.
Well, what would be the advice then, Camlin, to do in that situation? Somebody's thrown their weight about being a right prat.
Yeah, so if we come back to the points that I raised earlier there, that's feeling powerless in that situation, isn't it? And it's also a sense of injustice or unfairness, which is your interpretation of the event. It doesn't mean that it's actually happening. So it's about taking a step back, actually removing yourself from that situation, and it is about focusing on your breathing, because remember, anger isn't just an emotion, it's a physiological reaction that's taking place in your body. You now have increased heart rate, your muscles have tense, which means that you're not getting sufficient oxygen in your lungs. As soon as that happens, your body goes into fight and flight, which is then going to release adrenaline, which is then going to make you more angry. So do you see, there's actually a physiological reaction taking place. So staying in a situation that has triggered off that reaction in the first place is probably the worst thing that you can do, which is why taking time out, it sounds like a really simple strategy, but it actually makes a difference. Take time out, focus on your breathing, take deep breaths in through your nose 5 times, take deep breath in through your nose and then breathe out through your mouth. Breathe in and out. And then the third thing is use your words to communicate. A lot of us feel frustrated and feel agitated and feel irritated because we're not heard, we're not seen, we feel like we've not been acknowledged or we've not been understood. So we as a species, we have this fantastic thing called the language and vocabulary and words. So we have to start using that and communicating assertively and calmly and saying, this is how I feel and this is why I feel this way and this is what I need in order not to feel like this.
Tyriam, you've just had a crash course in anger management there.
That's the shortest therapy session in the world.
Yeah, I will pass it on to the kids. That is good info. I'll let them know. Fantastic.
Thanks, Tyriam. And thanks to Camlin Kaur and to Professor David Newby, their consultant cardiologist at University of Edinburgh. If you have any tips in just trying to sort of calm yourself down when you feel that rage coming up, then do share. It's the kind of conversation we need on a bank holiday Monday, isn't it? 80295.
Imagine we had proper jobs and runs on Radio 1. Don could be a hairdresser where you could get your hair done. Tina could do Newsnight and Alec could do Glee. And Chris and Dave could run a pub and let us drink for free. The Chris Moyle Show.
Get in touch with BBC Radio Scotland.
You can call our free phone number on 08085 92 95 00.
You can text on 80295. Network charges apply.
Mornings on BBC Radio Scotland.
Now, from Doric to Lallands and many more besides, Scotland is rich in dialects, but academics from Portsmouth and Cambridge universities are warning that our Scots vocabulary is under threat from Southern English words and pronunciations. So do we need to do more to preserve it? Joining us now is writer and tour guide Laurie Goodlad. Good morning to you. And Scottish poet and Scots language advocate Len Penny. How are you both?
Good morning.
Good morning. Laurie, I'm surprised actually the same from Southern England. I would have thought it would be Southern California we were under threat from.
I think the threats come from all around.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a really important question, and it's something that I feel very strongly about.
Well, yeah, I mean, we go on about the digital world, which has opened up to young people, of course, and they are, subject to many more influences than they were decades and decades ago. So it must be difficult to hold on to, what is local and regional when we live in very much a global world.
Yeah, and I think that when you look at the statistics, they really are quite staggering. So the world is losing languages every day, and every 2 weeks a language will die with its last speaker. And they kind of think that between 50 and 90% of the world's languages will be lost within the next 100 years. And that's kind of 6,000 or 7,000 languages which are currently spoken in the world. And I think a lot of the issue is around how we frame languages and how we define them. So I come from Shetland, way up north, and we're always told that we have a dialect. And I think that in many ways, when you describe a language as a dialect, you're undermining its importance and its value. And it can sometimes be seen as just not a proper language, and one that's never maybe wholly taken seriously. And I think that does tremendous damage to what are ultimately very rich languages.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely appreciate that as a talking point. I was kind of avoiding it a bit because I know it is very controversial. What is a dialect and what is a language? And unfortunately, the end result doesn't really alter, as you say, that the loss of language. I mean, Len, I know that you're such a powerful advocate for the Scots language. Why is it so important, do you think?
I think Scots is so intrinsically tied with culture and memory and history, but it's also really important that you talked about, the global influences, because I think that can also be an opportunity. Because just as, someone from California can be speaking to me, I can be speaking right back to them. And, we can spread all these languages and dialects, however you want to define them. We can, fight back and spread it right back and make sure that people who might not have otherwise come across Scots or even Shetland, things like that, we can make sure that we are, giving it right back to them and educating them.
So is that about very much holding on to your own language and not just sort of saying, hey, how you doing?
I think the great thing about vocabulary is it can only ever be augmented. The only way you can stop someone from speaking a certain way is to shame them for how they speak. So I think accepting the different ways that people speak and letting them choose how they want to express themselves and validating the way that they speak, I think that's an important tool to play, because also code switching. You can change how you speak depending on your situation. And that is often, born of not feeling welcome in spaces. So if we really want to promote, regional ways of speaking or minoritized languages, what we have to do is ensure that people feel empowered to speak the way they want to.
I mean, Laurie, you worked as a tour guide at one point, didn't you?
Yeah, I still lead guided tours in Shetland.
And was it very much I mean, I don't know, presumably you get people from all over the world. Were you conscious of the way that you communicated?
Yeah, so when I have visitors that are here for just a day or a few hours, then I will try to speak my very best English, which I always tell them. I always start by saying that English is not my first language, and that if they don't understand, then just ask. But I do try to speak in a way that I'm understood, but you can still hear my accent coming through in that. I always read them a bit of poetry in like our regional language so that they get an idea of how it sounds and some of the words that they might not understand. But I do certainly try and speak to be understood when they're here. I would say that when I'm at home, then I would speak in my kind of regional language, and to people that live here and are in the community, I probably wouldn't change how I spoke to them, but visitors I would.
I suppose, Pen, that is part of it, isn't it? I mean, well, we've not all got our telephone voice. You might not have a telephone voice, but we do kind of do that, don't we? We think, well, this is the way we speak for one audience, and this is the way we speak for another. Do you think we should be the same throughout?
I mean, I think that the concept of a telephone voice, it speaks to feeling insecure. It speaks to feeling as though the way you would speak normally at home isn't valid and it's not accepted. And I think the best way for us to combat any kind of erosion of language or culture is to empower people and to let them know that how they speak is valid and it is accepted. I mean, all language is valid because, you know, when you read these articles about the languages, it says, oh, the quaint languages are the strange, but quaint and strange are relative terms. You know, for some people, something that sounds quaint or strange is how you speak every day. So the only way that we can, you know, fight back against this very terrible erosion of language is to just let people speak the way they want to and understand and accept them and make the effort to understand them.
Absolutely. Len, listen, thank you very much. Len Penny there, and thanks also to Laurie Goodlad as well. Thanks for joining us this morning. Blind down, Christine.
What?
Yes, I'm in a completely, it's not quite hermetically
Is that for our
sealed
benefit or
room.
yours?
No. So I can't see out, Christine.
Yes, yeah, well.